The DNA test results trembled in Ethan Hayes' hands as the numbers blurred through his tears. 99.9% match. 3 years. 3 years of his daughter's life. Gone. Her first word. Her first step. Every moment he'd thrown away because he'd believed a lie. Across the city, Ava Collins was reading Sophie a bedtime story, unaware that the man who destroyed her was finally choking on the truth. But truth doesn't rewind time. It doesn't unbreak hearts. And some mistakes cost more than money can ever buy. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. Hit that like button and stick around, because what happens next will show you that redemption isn't about grand gestures. It's about whether a man can earn back what he never deserved to lose. The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Hayes Tower penthouse like it was trying to break through. Ethan stood in his office, whiskey glass in hand, staring at nothing. The city sprawled below him, a glittering kingdom he'd built with his bare hands and his father's fortune. 32 years old, billionaire, untouchable, empty. His phone buzzed for the 15th time that hour. He didn't look at it, didn't need to. Same investors, same lawyers, same vultures circling because the quarterly numbers had dipped 2%. 2 goddamn percent, and they acted like the sky was falling. Mr. Hayes? His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Your mother's on line 3. She says it's urgent. Tell her I'm busy. Sir, she's called 6 times. Ethan's jaw tightened. Elizabeth Hayes didn't take no for an answer. Never had. She'd raised him alone after his father died, built him into the man he was today. Strong, ruthless, successful, alone. He pressed the button. What? That's no way to greet your mother, darling. Her voice was silk over steel. We need to talk about the gala next week. The Rothsteins will be there, and I've arranged for you to sit with Melissa Carrington. Lovely girl, Yale graduate. Her father owns... I'm not interested in being set up. You're 32 and single, Ethan. People talk. A man in your position needs... He hung up. The whiskey burned going down, but it didn't touch the knot in his chest that had been there for 3 years. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days if he was counting. Which he wasn't. Definitely wasn't. Except he was. He'd stopped counting the days since the divorce 6 months ago. Started counting them again last Tuesday when he'd seen a woman with dark hair and fierce eyes at a coffee shop. Wrong woman, wrong city. But for 5 seconds, his heart had stopped anyway. Pathetic, he muttered, draining the glass. His phone buzzed again. This time he looked. A text from Marcus, his business partner and the closest thing he had to a friend. You coming to the site inspection tomorrow? The Seattle project needs sign-off. Seattle. The word sat in his brain like a stone. He'd been avoiding Seattle for 3 years. Too many memories, too many what-ifs. He typed back. Send Reynolds. The response came immediately. Reynolds is incompetent. You know that. We need your eyes on this. Flight's at 6 a.m. Don't make me drag you. Ethan stared at the message. Seattle, where Ava's college roommate lived. Not that he'd checked. Not that he'd hired someone to find out where Ava had gone after she'd left New York with nothing but a suitcase and a belly full of lies. His mother's voice echoed in his memory. She trapped you, Ethan. Got pregnant by someone else and tried to pass it off as yours. I saw the messages on her phone. She's been planning this for months. The evidence had been damning. Text messages. A burner phone hidden in her drawer. A man's name, Tyler something, mentioned a dozen times. When he'd confronted Ava, she denied everything, cried, begged him to listen. He hadn't. Sign the papers, he'd told her, sliding the divorce documents across their dining room table. The same table where they'd eaten breakfast that morning, where she'd laughed at his terrible jokes and stolen bacon from his plate. Ethan, please. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never Don't lie to me. Each word had been a hammer. I saw the messages. I know about Tyler. I know everything. Tyler is my cousin. He's been helping me plan your birthday surprise. Enough! He'd slammed his hand on the table, making her flinch. That flinch had satisfied something dark in him then. Now it made him sick. You think I'm stupid? You think I'll raise another man's bastard? She'd gone white. One hand had moved protectively to her stomach, barely showing then, just a small swell under her sweater. "This is your baby. Get out." She'd signed, left the next morning. He'd had his lawyers make sure she got nothing. No alimony, no settlement, nothing. She'd come into the marriage with nothing, and she'd left with nothing. Fair was fair. Except it wasn't fair. Nothing about it had been fair. And the whiskey knew it, even if Ethan's pride didn't. He poured another glass. 3,000 miles away, Ava Collins was fighting with a grocery bag that had split down the side, spilling oranges across the parking lot of her apartment complex. "Shit! Shit, shit, shit!" "Mama said a bad word." Sophie's delighted voice came from the back seat of their ancient Honda Civic. "Mama's having a moment, baby. Stay in the car." Ava scrambled to catch the rolling fruit, her work shoes slipping on the wet pavement. Seattle in March meant rain. Always rain. She'd learned to love it, though. The rain washed things clean, made the city feel like it was constantly starting over. She needed that. "Need help?" She looked up to find Daniel Reed crouching beside her, already gathering oranges into his arms. He'd parked 2 spaces over, same time every evening, like clockwork. Pediatrician, early 40s, kind eyes. The kind of man who helped strangers with their groceries and actually meant it. "I'm fine," she said automatically. "Sure you are. That's why you're chasing fruit across a parking lot in the rain." He smiled. Not the predatory smile of men who expected something in return. Just genuine. "I'm Daniel, 4B. Ava, 3F. I know, your daughter has excellent taste in Disney movies. I can hear Let It Go through the ceiling." Ava felt her cheeks heat. "Sorry, I'll keep it down." "Don't you dare. Best alarm clock I've had in years." He handed her the oranges. Beats the hell out of the guy in 5B who practices bagpipes at midnight. She laughed. Actually laughed. It felt strange, like muscles she'd forgotten how to use. Sophie appeared at her elbow, having clearly ignored the instruction to stay in the car. "Who's that?" "This is Daniel. He lives upstairs." "Do you like Frozen?" Daniel considered this with the seriousness it deserved. "I'm more of a Moana guy myself, but Frozen's solid. Top 5 easily." Sophie's eyes went wide. "Mama, can he have dinner with us?" "Sophie?" "We're having spaghetti," Sophie continued, oblivious to Ava's mortification. "Mama makes really good garlic bread, and we have ice cream." Daniel looked at Ava, eyebrows raised. "I do love garlic bread." "You don't have to." "I know, but if the invitation's genuine, I'd love to. Been eating takeout for a week straight. I'm starting to forget what real food tastes like." Ava hesitated. She'd built walls for 3 years. Good walls, high walls. Walls that kept her and Sophie safe from men from men. But Daniel wasn't like Ethan. Daniel was just a neighbor. Being neighborly. "Okay," she heard herself say. 6:30. The spaghetti was good. The garlic bread was better. Sophie talked Daniel's ear off about her preschool, her best friend Maya, and the butterfly she'd seen that morning that was so big, this big, bigger than my whole hand. Ava watched from the kitchen, doing dishes, listening to Daniel respond to each statement like it was the most important thing he'd ever heard. "She's great," Daniel said later, after Sophie had been tucked into bed with her stuffed elephant and 3 bedtime stories. "She's my whole world." Ava poured coffee, cheap stuff from the supermarket, not like the expensive beans Ethan used to have imported from Colombia, and sat across from Daniel at her small kitchen table. "No dad in the picture?" There it was, the question everyone asked eventually. "No." She wrapped her hands around the mug. "He didn't want us." Daniel nodded, didn't push, didn't offer platitudes, just nodded. "My ex-wife didn't want kids," he said after a moment. "That's why she's my ex-wife. Funny how people can want such different things and still think they're compatible." "How long have you been divorced?" 2 years. You?" 3. They sat in comfortable silence, drinking bad coffee, listening to the rain. "This is nice," Daniel said finally. "I forgot what this felt like, just sitting with someone. No agenda, no expectations." Ava knew what he meant. Every interaction in her old life had been a transaction. Ethan's business dinners where she'd smiled and played the perfect wife. His mother's charity events where Ava was paraded around like a rescued puppy. Look how far she'd come from the trailer park. Yeah, she said softly. It is nice. Daniel left at 9:30, thanking her 3 times for dinner. As Ava locked the door behind him, she felt something unfamiliar stir in her chest. Not love, not even attraction, really, just possibility. Ethan's flight landed in Seattle at 8:15 in the morning. He hadn't slept. The whiskey had seen to that, along with dreams that weren't quite nightmares but weren't pleasant either. Ava's face, her voice. This is your baby. The construction site was a mess. Marcus hadn't been exaggerating. The contractors had cut corners, the permits were wrong, and the whole thing was 6 weeks behind schedule. Fire them, Ethan said, walking through mud in his $1,000 shoes. All of them. We can't just watch me. He pulled out his phone, already dialing the legal team. It took 4 hours to sort out. 4 hours of yelling, threatening, and writing checks large enough to make grown men weep. By noon, he'd replaced the entire construction crew and put the fear of God into everyone involved. Lunch? Marcus suggested. Not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday. I said I'm not hungry. Marcus gave him that look, the one that said he was being an ass, but Marcus was too professional to say it out loud. There's a good Italian place 2 blocks from here. You need to eat. The restaurant was small, family-owned, red checkered tablecloths and pictures of Sicily on the walls. Ethan hated it immediately. Too warm, too intimate, too much like the little bistro where he'd proposed to Ava. He was about to leave when he saw her. Not Ava. A woman who looked like Ava from behind. Same dark hair, same build. She was leaving through the side door, holding a little girl's hand. Ethan's feet moved before his brain caught up. Ava? The woman turned, wrong face, wrong eyes. Not Ava. Sorry, he managed. Thought you were someone else. The woman smiled politely and left. The little girl, maybe 3 years old, looked back at him with curious brown eyes. His heart stopped. Brown eyes. Like his. Not like Ava's green ones. Ethan? Marcus was beside him. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine. He wasn't fine. His hands were shaking. I need to make a call. He walked outside, stood in the rain, and dialed a number he'd sworn he'd never call again. Hartley Investigations. It's Hayes. I need you to find someone. Name? Ava Collins. Maiden name. She might have taken it back after the divorce. Location? Start with Seattle. There was a pause. Mr. Hayes, we went through this 3 years ago. You told us to stop looking. I changed my mind. This will cost... I don't care what it costs. Find her. He hung up. Stood in the rain, let it soak through his suit jacket and into his bones. Somewhere in this city, maybe, possibly, Ava was living her life. Without him, without his money, without his name. The thought should have satisfied him. It didn't. Sophie was having a meltdown about wearing pants. I want to wear my Elsa dress. Baby, it's 40 degrees outside. You'll freeze. Elsa doesn't get cold. Ava counted to 10, then 20. Preschool started in 30 minutes, and she had to be at work by 9. Her boss at the bookstore had already written her up twice for being late. How about we compromise? Daniel's voice came from the doorway. He held up a small purple cardigan. Elsa dressed with a magical warming spell? That's what Anna wore in Frozen 2. Sophie considered this. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Ava stared at Daniel, who'd apparently let himself in using the spare key she'd given him last week. For emergencies. This counted as an emergency. You're a wizard, she said. Nah, just a guy who bribed his way in with donuts. He held up a bag from the bakery down the street. Chocolate frosted, still warm. Sophie squealed and grabbed one. Crisis averted. Thank you, Ava mouthed. Daniel shrugged. What are neighbors for? Except he wasn't just a neighbor anymore. Over the past 2 months, he'd become something. Friend, maybe. Ally, definitely. The person who showed up with donuts during meltdowns and didn't expect anything in return. He drove them to preschool. His car was reliable, unlike Ava's temperamental Honda, and then to the bookstore. Dinner tonight? He asked as she got out. Can't. I picked up an extra shift. Tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's good. He smiled. That same genuine smile that made her feel like maybe the world wasn't entirely full of people who would hurt her. It's a date. Ava's stomach flipped. Daniel. A friend date. Calm down. I'm not proposing marriage over spaghetti. He winked. Yet. She laughed despite herself and went inside. The bookstore was quiet. Weekday mornings usually were. Ava restocked shelves, helped an elderly man find a biography of Teddy Roosevelt, and tried not to think about the word date. She'd been on exactly 0 dates since Ethan. 0 interest in dating. 0 interest in men. Period. But Daniel was different. Safe. He never asked about her past. Never pushed for more than she could give. Just showed up. Consistently. Kindly. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sophie's preschool. Sophie's running a fever. Can you pick her up? Ava's heart sank. Missing work meant losing hours. Losing hours meant the rent would be tight again. Tight meant eating ramen for a week and praying the car didn't break down. She texted her boss. Family emergency. Need to leave early. The response was immediate. This is your 3rd emergency this month. We need to talk about your reliability. Ava closed her eyes, breathed, reminded herself that Sophie was worth it. Everything was worth it if Sophie was okay. She picked up her daughter, who was indeed feverish and miserable, and drove home. Gave her medicine, made soup, read stories, did the math in her head about which bill could wait another week. Daniel knocked at 6, holding a bag of groceries. Heard Sophie was sick, brought provisions. He unpacked soup, crackers, ginger ale, and a stuffed bear wearing a doctor's coat. You didn't have to do this. I know. He set the bear on the couch next to Sophie, who immediately hugged it. But I wanted to. That night, after Sophie fell asleep and Daniel went home, Ava sat at her kitchen table and cried. Not sad tears. Not exactly happy ones either. Just overwhelmed by the fact that someone had shown up. Someone had cared. It had been so long since anyone had cared. She didn't let herself think about Ethan. Didn't let herself remember the early days when he'd brought her flowers for no reason, when he'd laughed at her jokes, when he'd made her feel like maybe she deserved good things. That man was gone. Had probably never existed. Had been a mask over the real Ethan Hayes, the one who'd thrown her out like garbage when she'd needed him most. She wiped her eyes, checked on Sophie, went to bed. Tomorrow would be better. Tomorrow always had the potential to be better. Ethan got the call 3 days later. Found her, Hartley said. Ava Collins, living in Seattle, working at a bookstore called The Reading Room, apartment in the Greenwood neighborhood. Ethan's hand tightened on the phone. And what? Is there a child? Silence. Then, Mr. Hayes, you didn't ask me to investigate. Is there a child? More silence. A daughter, 3 years old, named Sophie. The world tilted. 3 years old. Anything else? His voice sounded strange, distant. She's dating someone. A doctor, Daniel Reed. They've been seeing each other for about 2 months. Something sharp and ugly twisted in Ethan's chest. Thank you. Send the full report to my personal email. He hung up, sat down, stood up, poured whiskey he didn't drink. A daughter, 3 years old, dating someone. He called Marcus. I need you to find out everything about a charity gala happening in Seattle in the next month. Something high profile. Something Ava Collins might attend if she's dating a doctor. Ethan, what are you... Shh. Just do it. Marcus sighed. There's a children's hospital benefit in 2 weeks. Black tie. $500 a plate. Very exclusive. Buy a table. 10 seats. That's $5,000. I don't care. Buy it. He hung up before Marcus could argue. 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks to figure out what the hell he was going to say to the woman he'd destroyed and the daughter he'd never met. Assuming the daughter was even his. Assuming Ava would even speak to him. Assuming he deserved either of them, which he absolutely didn't. He looked at his reflection in the window. 32 years old, billionaire, builder of empires, destroyer of lives. What the hell are you doing? He asked his reflection. His reflection didn't answer. It never did. So, Daniel's invitation to the hospital gala came as a surprise. It's boring, he warned. Rich people pretending to care about sick kids while they show off their jewelry, but the hospital needs the money, and I'm expected to show up. Would you want to come with me? Ava looked at the invitation. Black tie. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel. A world she'd left behind. I don't have anything to wear to something like that. There's a consignment shop on Roosevelt. My ex-wife used to swear by it. You could find something there. She should say no, should stay in her safe, small world where men didn't break her heart, and galas didn't remind her of everything she'd lost. But Sophie needed new shoes. The bookstore had cut her hours, and Daniel was looking at her with those kind eyes, like her presence actually mattered to him. Okay, she said, I'll go. The dress she found was simple, black, elegant, nothing like the designer gowns Ethan used to buy her. But it fit perfectly, and it cost $35, and it made her feel like maybe she could still belong in that world. Just for one night. Daniel picked her up at 6. He'd hired a babysitter for Sophie, a responsible teenager from his church who came with references and a first aid certification. You look beautiful, Daniel said. You clean up pretty well yourself. He did. Tuxedo. Confident smile. The kind of man who belonged at galas and charity events. The kind of man she could maybe love someday, if she let herself. The Fairmont was exactly as she remembered. Glittering chandeliers. Important people. Champagne and canapes and conversations about money dressed up as philanthropy. Ava hated it and missed it and felt like an imposter in both emotions. You okay? Daniel asked. Yeah, just been a while since I've been somewhere like this. Well, you're braver than me. I'd rather be home watching Moana. She smiled. That was the difference between Daniel and Ethan. Daniel made her feel comfortable being herself. Ethan had made her feel like she needed to be someone else. They found their table. Doctors and their spouses. Nice people. Normal conversations about kids and schools and vacation plans. Ava was starting to relax when she saw him. Across the ballroom, talking to a group of men in expensive suits. Ethan Hayes. Her blood turned to ice. 3 years. 3 years? And he looked exactly the same. Tall. Commanding. Handsome in that way that made people stop and stare. He hadn't seen her yet. She could leave. Should leave. Make an excuse to Daniel and run before... Ethan turned. Their eyes met. The world stopped. She watched recognition hit him. Watched his face go pale. Watched him excuse himself from his conversation and start walking toward her table. Ava? Daniel's voice seemed to come from very far away. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I have, she whispered. And then Ethan was there, standing at their table, looking at her like she was the last piece of a puzzle he'd been trying to solve for 3 years. Ava, his voice was rough, uncertain, nothing like the cold fury it had been the last time she'd heard it. I didn't know you'd be here. Liar. She could see it in his eyes. He'd known, had planned this. Ethan, her voice was steady. She was proud of that. What do you want? He looked at Daniel, back at her. Can we talk? Please. No. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. You're asking for a lot more than that, and you know it. She stood, grabbed her clutch, looked at Daniel. I need some air. She walked away before Ethan could respond, made it to the balcony outside the ballroom before her legs started shaking. The night air was cold. Good. She needed cold, needed something to shock her system back to normal. Footsteps behind her. Ava. She didn't turn. Go away, Ethan. I can't. Try harder. He moved to stand beside her, not touching, just present. The way he used to stand beside her when they'd watched sunsets from their penthouse balcony. I was wrong, he said quietly. About which part? Calling me a liar? Throwing me out? Making sure I got nothing in the divorce? All of it. She laughed, bitter, sharp. 3 years too late for that realization. I know. He gripped the balcony railing. My mother, she manipulated everything. The messages I found. The burner phone. It was all fake. She hired someone to create evidence that you were cheating. I found out 6 months ago. Ava's heart stopped. Started again, beat too fast. 6 months ago, she repeated. And you're just now telling me? I didn't know where you were. I hired someone to find you. I only found you 3 days ago. She turned to face him, really look at him. He looked older, tired, haunted, good. So you know about Sophie? It wasn't a question. She could see the answer in his face. Is she mine? The words hung in the air between them like smoke. Ava had imagined this moment 1,000 times. In some versions, she lied, told him Sophie wasn't his, protected her daughter from a man who'd already proven he couldn't be trusted. In other versions, she told the truth and watched him crumble. Yes, she said. She's yours. Ethan's knees buckled. He grabbed the railing to steady himself. I want to meet her. No. Ava, you don't get to waltz back into our lives because you finally figured out the truth. You threw us away. You made sure I had nothing. Do you have any idea what the last 3 years have been like? Do you have any concept of how hard I've had to fight just to keep a roof over her head? I'll give you money, whatever you need. I don't want your money. Her voice cracked. I wanted you to believe me. I wanted you to trust me. I wanted the father of my child to be someone who didn't think the worst of me the second it was convenient. Tears were streaming down her face now. She didn't care. I have rebuilt my entire life without you. Sophie doesn't know who you are. She's happy. We're happy. And you don't get to destroy that because you feel guilty. I'm not trying to destroy anything. I'm trying to fix. Some things can't be fixed, Ethan. Some things stay broken. She walked away, found Daniel inside, made apologies, and left. In the car, Daniel didn't ask questions, just drove her home, walked her to her door. That was him, wasn't it? He said quietly. Sophie's father. Ava nodded. What are you going to do? I don't know. Daniel kissed her forehead, gentle, chaste. Whatever you decide, I'm here. He left. Ava went inside, paid the babysitter, checked on Sophie, sleeping peacefully, clutching her stuffed elephant. Then she sat on her bathroom floor and cried until she had nothing left. Ethan stood on the balcony long after Ava left. You're an idiot, Marcus said, appearing beside him. I know. What were you thinking, ambushing her like that? I wasn't thinking. I needed to see her. And now? Now I need to figure out how to be a father to a daughter who doesn't know I exist. He looked at Marcus. I missed 3 years of her life. How do I fix that? You don't, Marcus said bluntly. You can't fix it. You can only try to do better going forward. If Ava lets you. If Ava lets you. Those 4 words would haunt him. Ethan pulled out his phone, opened his email, stared at the message he'd typed and deleted 17 times. Finally, he hit send. Ava, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness. But Sophie deserves the truth. She deserves to know her father, even if her father is a man who made terrible mistakes. I'm not asking you to let me back into your life. I'm asking you to consider letting me into hers. Please. E. He hit send before he could second-guess himself. Then he waited. The email sat in Ava's inbox for 2 days before she opened it. She'd seen the preview, enough to know it was from Ethan, enough to know she wasn't ready. On the 3rd morning, while Sophie munched cereal and watched cartoons, Ava finally clicked it. She read it once, twice, then deleted it, then recovered it from trash, then stared at it until the words blurred together and stopped making sense. Mama, you're doing the thinking face again, Sophie said, appearing at her elbow with milk dribbling down her chin. Am I? Yeah, the one where your eyebrows get all scrunchy, like this. Sophie scrunched up her face in an exaggerated impression that was probably more accurate than Ava wanted to admit. I'm just figuring some stuff out, baby. About what? About your father. About whether I should let him destroy our peace. About whether you deserve to know him even though he doesn't deserve to know you. Grown-up stuff. Nothing exciting. Sophie lost interest immediately and wandered back to the TV. Ava closed her laptop and pressed her palms against her eyes until she saw stars. The bookstore was slow that morning. Mrs. Chen came in for her weekly mystery novel. A college student bought 3 philosophy textbooks and complained about the price like Ava personally said it. A man in his 60s spent an hour in the poetry section and left without buying anything. Ava restocked the children's section and tried not to think about the email. Failed spectacularly. At lunch, she sat in the back room with a sandwich she wasn't hungry for and pulled out her phone. Daniel had texted 3 times. "How are you holding up?" "Coffee later, my treat." "Or we could skip coffee and go straight to the hard stuff. I know a place that makes a mean whiskey sour." "What?" She smiled despite herself. Daniel had that effect, made things feel lighter even when they weren't. "Coffee sounds good. 3 p.m.? His response was immediate. "It's a date. The good kind, not the friend kind. Fair warning." Her stomach flipped. She typed and deleted 4 different responses before settling on, "Noted." The coffee shop Daniel chose was small and tucked away on a side street she'd never noticed before. He was already there when she arrived, 2 mugs steaming on the table between them. "I ordered for you," he said. "Vanilla latte, extra foam, that's what you got last time." He'd remembered. Ethan had never remembered her coffee order in 2 years of marriage. Stop comparing them. "Thanks." She sat down, wrapped her hands around the mug. The warmth helped. "So," Daniel said, "do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to distract you with stories about the kid who stuck a Lego up his nose this morning?" "How far up?" "Far enough that his mom thought we'd need surgery. Turned out tweezers and a steady hand did the trick. Kid cried for 10 minutes, then asked if he could have a lollipop." Ava laughed. "Did you give him one?" 3. "He earned them." Daniel took a sip of his coffee. "But we both know you're not here to talk about my patients." She wasn't. She was here because Daniel was safe, and Ethan was chaos, and she needed to remember that not all men were landmines waiting to explode. "He wants to meet Sophie," she said. Daniel nodded slowly. "And you don't want him to." "I don't know what I want. Part of me thinks Sophie deserves to know her father. The other part thinks he lost that right when he threw us away. Both parts can be true." "That doesn't help." "I know." He reached across the table, covered her hand with his. "But maybe it's not about what he deserves. Maybe it's about what Sophie deserves. She deserves better than a father who didn't believe her mother, who didn't fight for her. Maybe. But she also deserves the choice to know him or not. When she's older, when she can decide for herself." Daniel squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to make any decisions right now, Ava. You're allowed to take your time." She looked at their hands, his broad and steady, hers small and trembling slightly. This was what steady felt like, what safe felt like. Why couldn't that be enough? "I need to tell you something," she said, "before this goes any further, before you think I'm something I'm not." "Okay." "I was married to a billionaire, Ethan Hayes. You might have heard of him. He's in commercial real estate, development, that whole world. I was 19 when we met. He was 29. I was waiting tables at this restaurant in Manhattan, and he came in with business partners, left a $300 tip on a $60 tab. She'd never told anyone this story, not the full version. He came back the next week, and the week after that. Always asked for my section, always left ridiculous tips. One night he waited until my shift ended and asked me to dinner. I said no. I knew what men like him wanted from girls like me. But he kept asking. For 2 months. Never pushed. Never made me feel cheap. Just persistent. Finally I said yes, and he was... She paused, searching for the right word. He was wonderful, funny, smart. He didn't treat me like I was stupid just because I didn't go to college. He listened when I talked, made me feel like I mattered. What happened? We got married too fast. I was 21. Didn't have a prenup because he said he trusted me. His mother hated me from day one. I wasn't the right kind of woman for her son. Not educated enough, not connected enough, not anything enough. But Ethan didn't care, or I thought he didn't. The coffee was going cold. She kept talking anyway. When I got pregnant, I was terrified. We'd never talked about kids, but I thought, maybe this would be good. Maybe this would be our family. I told him over dinner at home. He seemed happy, surprised, but happy. And then 3 days later, everything fell apart. Daniel's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. She focused on that instead of the memories. His mother showed him evidence that I was cheating. Text messages. A burner phone she planted in my drawer. She'd hired someone to fake everything, made it look like I'd gotten pregnant by another man and was trying to trap Ethan. He believed her, didn't even question it, Just believed her. Ava, he gave me a choice. Sign the divorce papers and leave quietly, or he'd drag me through court and make sure everyone knew what a lying, cheating gold digger I was. I signed, took my clothes and left. He made sure I got nothing. And I mean nothing. I had $200 to my name when I got on the bus to Seattle. She pulled her hand back, wrapped both around her mug again. So that's who I am, Daniel. I'm not some innocent victim. I married a man I barely knew because I wanted out of my life. I got pregnant thinking it would fix things. And when everything exploded, I ran instead of fighting. I'm not brave. I'm not strong. I'm just tired. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Can I tell you what I hear when you tell me that story?" "Sure." "I hear about a 19-year-old girl who was smart enough to say no to a rich man for 2 months. I hear about a woman who survived being thrown out with nothing and built a life anyway. I hear about a mother who put her daughter first even when it cost her everything. That sounds pretty brave to me." Ava's eyes stung. "You don't have to—" "I'm not being nice. I'm being honest." He leaned back in his chair. "You want to know about my ex-wife? She was perfect on paper. Harvard Medical School, chief resident. We met at a conference. She was brilliant and ambitious, and I fell hard. We got married, bought a house, did everything right, and then I told her I wanted kids." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "She said she'd think about it. Kept saying that for 3 years. Finally admitted she'd gotten her tubes tied 2 years before we got married and never told me. Didn't think it was important because she assumed I'd change my mind about wanting children. When I said I wouldn't, she filed for divorce, took half of everything and married her research partner 6 months later." "Daniel, I'm so sorry." "Don't be. I'm not telling you this so you'll feel bad for me. I'm telling you so you understand that I get it. I get what it's like to trust someone and have them prove you wrong. I get what it's like to want something and have it ripped away. And I get that you're scared to trust anyone again." He finished his coffee, set the mug down carefully. "But I'm not Ethan. I'm not your ex-husband. I'm just a guy who thinks you're incredible and wants to see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility." Possibility. That word again. "I don't know if I can do this," Ava whispered. "I don't know if I have another relationship in me." "Then don't think of it as a relationship. Think of it as two people who like spending time together, seeing if they like it enough to keep doing it. Low stakes, no promises." It sounded so simple when he said it like that. "Okay," she heard herself say. "Low stakes." "Low stakes," he agreed. They finished their coffee talking about safer things. Sophie's upcoming ballet recital. The bagpipe player in 5B who'd finally been evicted. The weird smell coming from the building's garbage chute. When Daniel walked her back to her car, he kissed her. Just a quick press of lips, nothing demanding. It felt nice. Safe. It didn't make her heart stop the way Ethan's kisses used to. Stop comparing them. Ava drove home and found Sophie coloring at the kitchen table with the babysitter. "Mama, look, I drew us." Sophie held up a picture of 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands under a yellow sun. "It's beautiful, baby. This one's you, and this one's me, and this one," she pointed to a third figure she'd added in purple crayon, "is Daniel. He's part of our family now." Something twisted in Ava's chest. "Sophie, Daniel is our friend. But he comes over all the time, and he fixes things, and he makes you smile. That's what daddies do." The babysitter looked uncomfortable. Ava paid her and waited until she left before kneeling beside Sophie's chair. "Daniel is wonderful, but he's not your daddy." "I don't have a daddy." "You do. You have a daddy who made some mistakes, but he's your daddy." Sophie frowned. "Where is he?" Here it was. The conversation Ava had been avoiding for 3 years. "He's in New York. He didn't know about you for a long time, but he knows now." "Does he want to meet me?" "Yes." "Do I want to meet him?" Out of the mouths of babes. "I don't know, baby. What do you think?" Sophie considered this with the seriousness of someone deciding the fate of nations. "Does he like Frozen?" "I don't know." "Then I need to ask him. We can't be friends if he doesn't like Frozen." Ava laughed through the tears that were suddenly threatening. "That's a very important question." That night, after Sophie was asleep, Ava opened her laptop. stared at Ethan's email, read it again. Then she hit reply. You get one meeting, supervised, at a public place. If you do anything to hurt her, if you make one single promise you can't keep, you'll never see her again. Those are my terms. Take them or leave them. She hit send before she could think better of it. The response came 6 minutes later. I'll take them. Thank you. When? She typed, Saturday, 2 p.m., Volunteer Park. There's a playground on the north end. Don't be late. I won't be. Ava closed the laptop, poured herself a glass of wine she didn't drink, sat on her couch and wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. Her phone buzzed. Daniel. Still thinking about you. Good thoughts. Sweet dreams. She smiled. Typed back. You too. 2 men, one safe, one dangerous, one future, one past. She knew which one she should choose. Knowing didn't make it easier. The week dragged by like a prison sentence. Ava worked her shifts at the bookstore, picked Sophie up from preschool, made dinners, read stories, pretended everything was normal. Thursday night, Sophie asked about her daddy again. What's his name? Ethan? Ethan, Sophie repeated, testing it out. Does he have brown eyes like me? Yes. Does he like ice cream? I think so. What kind? I don't know, baby. Sophie frowned. You don't know a lot about him. She wasn't wrong. Friday evening, Daniel came over with Thai food and stayed to help put Sophie to bed. After 3 stories and 2 glasses of water, Sophie finally fell asleep. You're quiet tonight, Daniel said, settling onto the couch beside Ava. Ethan's meeting Sophie tomorrow. Daniel's hand stilled on his beer bottle. You decided to let him? I decided Sophie deserves the option. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it. You want me there? Yes. No. Maybe. I think this is something I need to do alone. But thank you. He nodded. Didn't push. That was Daniel. Never pushing, always steady. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'm here. You know that, right? I know. He kissed her before he left, longer this time. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. You're going to be okay, he murmured against her lips. She wanted to believe him. Saturday morning arrived too fast. Ava dressed Sophie in her favorite purple leggings and a shirt with a sparkly unicorn on it, brushed her hair until it shone, tried not to throw up from nerves. Are we really meeting my daddy today? Sophie asked for the 14th time. Yes, baby. What if he doesn't like me? Ava knelt down, gripped Sophie's small shoulders. He's gonna love you. How could he not? You're the best thing in the entire world. What if I don't like him? Then we leave. And you never have to see him again if you don't want to. This is your choice, okay? Not mine, not his. Yours. Sophie nodded solemnly. Okay. The drive to Volunteer Park took 12 minutes. Ava spent all 12 mentally rehearsing what she'd say to Ethan. None of it sounded right. He was already there when they arrived, standing by the playground entrance, hands in his pockets, looking more nervous than she'd ever seen him. He dressed down, jeans, a simple button-up, no tie, trying to look approachable. It almost worked. Sophie grabbed Ava's hand as they approached. That's him? That's him. Ethan saw them and went very still. Ava watched him take in Sophie, the dark curls, the brown eyes, the way she stood with one hip cocked just like he did when he was thinking. Hi, he said, voice rough. Sophie stared at him. Hi. Awkward silence. Ava was about to intervene when Sophie said, Do you like Frozen? Ethan blinked. The movie? Yes. I've never seen it. Sophie's eyes went wide with horror. Never? Never. Mama, he's never seen Frozen. That's terrible. Despite everything, Ava almost smiled. It is pretty terrible. Ethan looked between them, lost. Is that a problem? It's a very big problem, Sophie said seriously, but we can fix it. You can watch it with us. Right, Mama? Ava's heart clenched. Maybe. We'll see. Sophie turned back to Ethan. Do you like swings? I don't know. I haven't been on one in a long time. Then we should fix that too. Come on! She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the swing set. Ethan looked back at Ava, something desperate and grateful in his expression. She nodded. He followed their daughter. Ava sat on a bench and watched Ethan push Sophie on the swings, watched him laugh when she demanded higher, higher, watched him flinch when she jumped off mid-swing and landed hard on her knees. "I'm okay," Sophie announced, bouncing back up. "Mama says I'm made of rubber." "Your mama is very smart." They moved to the slide. The monkey bars. The merry-go-round that made Ethan look vaguely nauseous after 5 spins. "You're not very good at this," Sophie informed him. "No," Ethan agreed. "I'm not. I'm sorry." "It's okay. You can practice. Mama says practice makes you better at things." "Your mama is right about that, too." After 40 minutes, Sophie announced she was thirsty. Ethan produced juice boxes from a backpack Ava hadn't noticed, the good organic kind she couldn't usually afford. "You came prepared," she said. "I didn't know what to bring. I asked the guy at the store what 3-year-olds like. He suggested juice boxes, goldfish crackers, and fruit snacks." "Smart guy." "Yeah." Ethan watched Sophie drain her juice box in about 4 seconds. "She's incredible." "I know. She has your personality, your fire. She has your stubbornness." He smiled. "Yeah, I noticed." Sophie finished her juice and immediately wanted to go back to the swings. Ava stayed on the bench. Ethan hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "You can ask. Doesn't mean I'll answer." "Fair." He sat down, keeping distance between them. "Why did you decide to let me meet her?" "Because she asked about you, because I remembered what it was like growing up without a father, and I didn't want that for her. Because maybe you're different now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're a better person than I am." "That's a low bar." He laughed, sharp and bitter. "Yeah, it is." They sat in silence, watching Sophie attempt a cartwheel and land on her butt. "I'm sorry," Ethan said quietly. "I know I've said it before, but I need you to hear it. I'm sorry for not believing you. I'm sorry for letting my mother manipulate me. I'm sorry for throwing you out like you were nothing. You were everything, and I treated you like nothing." Ava's throat tightened. "Why should I believe you're different now?" "You shouldn't. Words are cheap, I know that. But I'm asking for a chance to show you, not to get you back. I know that ship sailed and sank, but to show Sophie that her father isn't just a coward who ran away." "You didn't run away. You threw us away. There's a difference." "You're right, I did. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it." Sophie came running back over. "I'm hungry." Ethan looked at Ava. "Can I take you both to lunch? There's a place nearby." "No." Ava stood. "You got your meeting. That's what we agreed on." "Right, of course. I just—" He stopped, started again. "Can I see her again? Next weekend, maybe?" Ava looked at Sophie. "What do you think, baby? Do you want to see Ethan again?" Sophie considered. "Will you watch Frozen before next time?" Ethan crouched down to her eye level. "I promise. I'll watch it twice." "Okay, you can come back." Just like that. Children were so much simpler than adults. "Same time, same place," Ava said. "And Ethan, don't make promises you can't keep." "I won't." They left him standing in the park. In the rearview mirror, Ava watched him stand there long after they'd driven away, staring at nothing. "I like him," Sophie announced. "He's sad, but I like him." "What makes you think he's sad?" "His eyes. They're sad like yours used to be, before Daniel made you happy again." Ava's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Out of the mouths of babes. That night, after Sophie was asleep, Ethan texted, "Thank you, for today. For giving me a chance. I don't deserve it." She stared at the message, finally typed back, "No, you don't." His response came immediately. "I know, I'll do better, I promise." She didn't respond. Promises were easy. Following through was hard. Daniel called at 9. "How did it go?" "Better than expected. Worse than I hoped." That's cryptic. "Sophie liked him. That's what matters." "And you?" "I don't know what I feel. Angry, sad, confused. All of it at once." "Want me to come over?" She did. And didn't, and felt guilty for both. "Not tonight. I need to think." "Okay. But Ava, Yeah? Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You don't have to have all the answers right now. After they hung up, Ava poured herself wine and actually drank it this time. Sat on her couch and pulled up photos on her phone. Pictures of Sophie, birthday parties, first day of preschool, random Tuesday afternoons. 3 years of moments Ethan had missed, could never get back. She thought about Daniel's steady presence, his easy kindness, the way he'd fit into their life without demanding space. She thought about Ethan's sad eyes, the way Sophie had grabbed his hand, the way he'd looked at their daughter like she was made of something precious and breakable. 2 men, 2 futures, 1 choice. Except it wasn't her choice anymore. It was Sophie's. And Sophie apparently had room in her heart for both. The question was, did Ava? The second Saturday, Ethan showed up with a frozen coloring book and a 12-pack of crayons. You watched it, Sophie said. Not a question, but an accusation, like she was testing him. Twice, like I promised. I cried when Anna froze. Sophie's eyes went wide. You cried? A little. Don't tell anyone. I cried too. Mama says it's okay to cry at sad parts. Your mama is right. Ethan glanced at Ava, who was standing 5 feet away with her arms crossed. She's right about most things. Ava didn't respond. Didn't know how to. They went to the swings again. This time Ethan knew what he was doing, knew how high to push, when to slow down, how to catch Sophie when she inevitably jumped off at the worst possible moment. You practiced, Ava said. YouTube videos. Turns out there's a whole tutorial on proper swing pushing technique. Who knew? Despite herself, Ava felt the corner of her mouth twitch. You watched YouTube videos on how to push a swing. I watched 12. Some were better than others. One guy had very strong opinions about underduck versus overduck pushing styles. Which camp are you in? Overduck. Obviously. I'm not a monster. This time when Sophie asked to get juice, Ethan had brought a whole picnic. Sandwiches cut into triangles, apple slices, those expensive cookies from the bakery downtown. He spread a blanket under a tree, and Sophie plopped down like she'd done this 100 times before. This is nice, she announced through a mouthful of cookie. We should do this every week. Ethan looked at Ava, hope and fear warring in his expression. We'll see, Ava said. That means probably yes, Sophie informed Ethan. When Mama says we'll see, it usually means yes if I'm good. Then you better be very good, Ethan said. I'm always good. Mostly. Sometimes. Sophie grinned. Okay, I'm good enough. After they ate, Sophie wanted to show Ethan how high she could climb on the jungle gym. Ava watched him spot her, hands hovering but never grabbing unless necessary. He was learning. Slowly, clumsily, but learning. Can I ask you something? Ethan said when Sophie ran off to the sandbox. You keep asking that. You keep letting me. What do you want to know? Was it hard? The pregnancy? The birth? After? Ava sat down on the bench. After a moment, Ethan sat beside her. Not close. Never close. The pregnancy was terrible. Morning sickness until month 7. I worked 2 jobs until I was 8 months along because I had no savings. Lived in a motel for 3 weeks when I first got here because I couldn't find an apartment that would take someone with no references, no job, and a baby on the way. She could feel Ethan tense beside her but didn't look at him. I got hired at a grocery store, night shift, stocking shelves. The manager took pity on me when I passed out on my 3rd day. Turns out standing for 8 hours straight when you're hugely pregnant isn't ideal. She let me work the register instead, gave me a chair. Probably saved my life. Ava. Labor was 32 hours. No epidural because I couldn't afford it. The hospital social worker kept asking if I had anyone to call. I kept saying no. They almost didn't let me leave with Sophie because they were worried I couldn't care for her alone. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. Because you should know what your choices cost. Ethan was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was wrecked. I would have been there, if I'd known, if I'd believed you. I would have been there. But you didn't believe me. That's the point. When it mattered most, you chose to believe I was a liar instead of the woman you married. I know. Do you? Do you really understand what that did to me? I loved you, Ethan. Completely. Stupidly. And you looked at me like I was garbage. Like 3 years of marriage meant nothing the second your mother planted some fake evidence. I was an idiot. You were a coward. The words came out harder than she intended. You took the easy way out. It was easier to believe I betrayed you than to stand up to your mother. Easier to throw me away than to fight for us. Ethan's hands were shaking. You're right. I know I'm right. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? Whatever you'll let me do. I can't fix the past. I can't give you back those 3 years. But I can show up. I can be consistent. I can prove to Sophie that her father isn't just some guy who shows up when it's convenient. Words, Ethan. You're good at words. You always have been. Then let me show you. However long it takes. Sophie came running back, covered in sand. I made a castle. Come see. They spent the next hour admiring sand architecture that collapsed every time someone breathed near it. Ethan got down in the sand with Sophie, helped her build walls and towers, made explosion noises when it inevitably fell apart. You're getting your jeans dirty, Ava said. I have other jeans. Those probably cost more than my rent. Then I'll buy cheaper jeans. He looked up at her, squinting against the sun. I don't care about the jeans, Ava. When it was time to leave, Sophie hugged Ethan goodbye. Actually hugged him. Wrapped her small arms around his legs and squeezed. See you next week? If your mama says it's okay. Sophie looked at Ava. Can we, Mama? Please? How was she supposed to say no to that face? Same time, same place, Sophie cheered. Ethan's relief was visible. In the car, Sophie chattered about the park and the sandbox and how Ethan was getting better at playing. Ava drove and tried not to think about the fact that this was becoming routine. Tried not to think about what happened when routines became expectations and expectations became needs. Daniel was waiting on her doorstep when they got home. He'd brought groceries, the expensive kind, organic vegetables and good cheese and fresh bread from the bakery. Thought I'd make dinner, he said. If that's okay. Daniel, you don't have to. I know, I want to. He ruffled Sophie's hair. Hey, kiddo, how was the park? Good. I showed my daddy the jungle gym and he watched Frozen like he promised. Daniel's smile didn't falter, but Ava saw something flicker in his eyes. That's great. While Daniel cooked, Sophie colored at the kitchen table and Ava pretended to read the mail. Watched Daniel move around her tiny kitchen like he belonged there. Efficient, comfortable, easy. He's good with her, Daniel said quietly, chopping onions. Who? Ethan. I can see it in her face. She's happy. Yeah, she is. And you? Ava set down the mail. I don't know what I am. That's fair. He scraped the onions into a pan where they started to sizzle. Can I ask you something without you getting defensive? Probably not, but ask anyway. Are you letting him back in your life for Sophie or for you? The question hit like a fist to the stomach. For Sophie, obviously. Is it obvious? What's that supposed to mean? Daniel turned to face her. I see the way you look at him, Ava. Like you're fighting yourself. Like part of you wants to hate him and part of you remembers what it was like when you didn't. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's human. He was your husband, the father of your child. First love, maybe. That doesn't just disappear because he hurt you. Ava's hands were shaking. I don't want him back. Okay, I don't. What we had is dead. He killed it. I believe you. Then why are you asking? Daniel turned back to the stove. Because I need to know if I'm wasting my time. If I'm building something with someone who's still holding on to someone else. That's not fair. Life's not fair. You taught me that. They ate dinner in uncomfortable silence. Sophie talked enough for all three of them, oblivious to the tension. After Daniel left, earlier than usual, with a kiss on the cheek instead of the lips, Ava put Sophie to bed and poured herself wine. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Thank you again for today. Sophie is amazing. You did an incredible job raising her alone. I mean that. She stared at the message, typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, she did most of the work herself. I doubt that. Can I ask you something? You're full of questions lately. Is that a no? Ask. The guy who was at your apartment when I texted earlier, the one Sophie mentioned at the park. Daniel. Is he? Are you? Ava felt a spike of anger. That's none of your business. You're right. Sorry. I want you to be happy. You deserve to be happy. Now you care about what I deserve? The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I've always cared. I just got confused about what that meant, about what was real, and what my mother convinced me was real. Your mother didn't put words in your mouth, Ethan. She didn't make you sign those divorce papers or throw me out. You did that all by yourself. I know. I'm not making any excuses. I'm just trying to explain. I don't want your explanations. I want you to show up for Sophie. That's it. Okay, I can do that. She turned off her phone, drank her wine, stared at the ceiling, and wondered when her life had gotten so complicated. The third Saturday, it rained. Sophie was devastated. We can't go to the park in the rain, baby. But I want to see Daddy. The word stopped Ava cold. What did you call him? Daddy. That's what he is, right? Sophie, we talked about this. His name is Ethan. But he's my daddy. Maya's daddy is called Daddy. Why can't mine be? Because that makes it real. Because once you call him Daddy, he's not just some guy who shows up on Saturdays. He's family. He's permanent. And permanent means he can hurt you. We'll talk about it later. Right now, we need to figure out what to do about the park. Her phone rang. Ethan. The weather's bad, he said without preamble. I was thinking maybe we could do something else. There's a children's museum downtown. Indoor, dry, if you're comfortable with that. I don't know. Please, I promised Sophie I'd see her today. I don't want to break that promise. Something in his voice made her cave. Fine, but I'm driving separately and meeting you there. Whatever makes you comfortable. The museum was crowded with other parents who'd had the same rainy day idea. Ethan met them at the entrance with another backpack full of snacks and an umbrella he immediately offered to Ava. I have my own umbrella. I know, but mine's bigger. I'm fine. He didn't push, just walked beside them into the museum, let Sophie drag him from exhibit to exhibit. The water table, the giant bubble maker, the pretend grocery store where she insisted on buying fake vegetables and charging him fake money. That'll be $100, Sophie announced. For 3 plastic carrots? They're organic. Ethan pulled out his wallet, handed her a real dollar. Will this cover it? Sophie's eyes went huge. Mama, look, real money. Ethan, you can't just... It's $1, Ava. Let her have it. They moved to the art room where Sophie painted a picture of a house with 3 people in front of it. 1 tall figure, 1 medium figure, 1 small figure. That's our family, she explained to Ethan. That's you and Mama and me. Ava's throat closed up. Ethan looked like someone had punched him. It's beautiful, he managed. Can I keep it? Sophie nodded. You have to put it on your fridge. That's what you do with art. I will, I promise. During lunch in the museum cafe, Sophie asked the question Ava had been dreading. Daddy, why don't you live with us? Ethan carefully set down his sandwich. Looked at Ava. She looked away. Because your mama and I don't live together anymore. We used to a long time ago, but we don't now. Why not? Because I made some mistakes. Big ones. And sometimes when you make big mistakes, people need space to decide if they can forgive you. What mistakes? I didn't believe your mama when I should have. I didn't trust her, and that hurt her very badly. Sophie frowned. Did you say sorry? Yes, many times. And did she forgive you? Ethan looked at Ava again. This time she met his eyes. I don't know, he said honestly. What do you think, Mama? Did you forgive me? Every eye in the cafe seemed to turn toward her. Sophie, waiting for an answer. Ethan, waiting for judgment. Strangers pretending not to listen, but absolutely listening. I'm working on it, Ava said finally. It wasn't yes. It wasn't no. It was the truth. Sophie seemed satisfied with this. Okay, but you should work faster. I want us to be a family. After the museum, Ethan walked them to Ava's car. The rain had stopped, but everything was wet and gray. She called me Daddy today, he said. I know, I'm sorry, I didn't tell her to. Don't be sorry. It's the best thing anyone's ever called me. He paused. Can I ask you something? When are you going to stop asking permission to ask questions? When I stop being afraid of the answers. He shifted his weight. Is he important to you? We've been through this. I know, but Sophie mentioned him again today. Said he makes good pancakes and fixed your sink. He sounds like he's around a lot. He's my friend. Just a friend? Ava crossed her arms. Why do you care? Because I need to know if I'm competing with someone. If there's someone else in Sophie's life who's filling the space I should have filled. You don't get to be jealous, Ethan. You gave up that right. I'm not jealous. I'm just trying to understand where I fit in all this. You fit where Sophie wants you to fit, nowhere else. He nodded slowly. Fair enough. Then quieter. Does he make you happy? That's none of your business. I know, but I need to know anyway. Ava unlocked her car, started loading Sophie's stuff. He's kind. He's steady. He shows up when he says he will. He's never once made me feel like I'm not enough. So yes. So maybe. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring it out. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. I'm glad that you have someone like that. You deserve someone who treats you right. Now you think that. I've always thought that. I just forgot it when it mattered most. They stood in the parking lot, rain dripping from trees, Sophie singing to herself in the back seat. I'm going to keep showing up, Ethan said. Every Saturday. Every time you let me. I'm going to prove I'm different. And if you're not, then you cut me off and I'll have earned it. But I am different, Ava. I swear I am. We'll see. She drove away, watching him in the rearview mirror. He stood there until they turned the corner, hands in his pockets, looking lost. That night, Daniel came over after Sophie was asleep. He'd texted asking if they could talk. Ava knew what that meant. I can't do this, he said, sitting on her couch with space between them. I can't be the guy you're with while you figure out your feelings about your ex-husband. I'm not. You are. And I get it. I really do. He's Sophie's father. He's trying to make amends. He was your first love. Maybe your only love. But I need to know if there's space in your life for me. Real space. Not just the space left over after Ethan takes what he wants. Ava felt tears prick her eyes. I care about you, Daniel. I know you do. But do you love me? Or do you just love that I'm safe? The question hung between them like smoke. I don't know, she whispered. Daniel nodded, smiled sadly. At least you're honest. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't do anything wrong. You've been clear from the start that you were figuring things out. I'm the idiot who fell in love anyway. Daniel, I need some space, Ava, just for a while, to figure out if I can do this. If I can be with someone who might still be in love with someone else. He left. Ava sat on her couch and cried for the second time in a month. First for Ethan, now for Daniel, for the mess she'd made of everything. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This is Elizabeth Hayes, Ethan's mother. We need to talk about my granddaughter. Ava stared at the message like it was a snake. Elizabeth, the woman who'd destroyed her marriage, who'd fabricated evidence and manipulated her son and thrown Ava out like trash. She deleted the message, blocked the number. 5 minutes later, her phone rang. Different number. She picked up without thinking. Don't hang up. Elizabeth's voice, smooth, cultured, venomous. How did you get this number? I have resources. We need to talk, Ava. We have nothing to talk about. We have my granddaughter to talk about. Ethan told me he's been seeing her, spending time with you. I won't allow it. Ava felt white-hot rage flood through her. You won't allow it? You trapped my son once. I won't let you do it again. I never trapped anyone. You manufactured evidence to break us up because I wasn't good enough for your precious son. You were a waitress, a nobody. You saw an opportunity and you took it. I loved him. You loved his money. I left with nothing. I could have fought for alimony, could have fought for child support. I didn't. I took nothing from him because I wanted nothing from him. So don't you dare accuse me of being a gold digger. Then what do you want now? Why let him back into your life? Because Sophie asked about her father. Because she deserves to know him. This has nothing to do with you. Elizabeth laughed, sharp, cruel. Everything has to do with me. I'm Ethan's mother. I'm Sophie's grandmother. And I will not have some trailer park trash raising my granddaughter without proper supervision. The line went dead. Ava stood there shaking, phone still pressed to her ear. Then she called Ethan. He answered on the first ring. Ava, what's wrong? Your mother just called me, threatened me, told me she won't allow me to see you. Silence. Then, what? She said I trapped you, called me trailer park trash, said she needs to supervise how I raise Sophie. I'll handle it. How? By believing her again? By deciding I'm lying? No. By cutting her off. Completely. I should have done it months ago when I found out what she did. Ethan, I'm serious, Ava. She doesn't get to interfere in Sophie's life, in our lives. She's done enough damage. She's your mother. She's a manipulative narcissist who destroyed my marriage and tried to destroy you. I'm done making excuses for her. Ava sank onto her couch. I don't know what to do. Let me handle her, please. This is my mess to clean up. After they hung up, Ava sat in the dark and tried to breathe. Tried to remember when her life had been simple. Tried to remember what peace felt like. Her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. I heard your phone ringing. Everything okay? Apparently the walls between 3F and 4B were thinner than she thought. Not really. Ethan's mother called. Need me to come down? She should say no. Should give him the space he asked for. Should handle this alone like she handled everything alone. Yes. Please. He was there in 2 minutes. Held her while she cried. Didn't ask questions, just held her. Thank you, she whispered. I know I said I needed space, but I can't stand knowing you're down here upset. I'm a mess, Daniel. My life is a mess. You should run while you still can. Probably, but I'm terrible at making good decisions. He kissed her forehead. Whatever happens with Ethan, whatever his mother does. I'm here. Even if I'm just your friend. I'm here. She fell asleep on the couch with Daniel holding her. Woke up at 3 a.m. to find him gone and a blanket draped over her. Her phone showed 6 missed calls from Ethan, 1 voicemail. I talked to my mother. Told her to never contact you again. Told her if she interferes, she'll never meet Sophie. She's furious, but she'll stay away. I promise. I'm sorry, Ava. I'm so sorry. Sunday morning, Sophie asked why Ava looked sad. Just tired, baby. Is it because Grandma was mean? Ava froze. What? I heard you on the phone last night. Someone was mean to you. Was it Grandma? You're supposed to be asleep when I'm on the phone. I was, but you were loud. Sophie climbed into Ava's lap. It's okay, Mama. Daddy will fix it. He fixes things now. Out of the mouths of babes, always truth, never comfort. Yeah, baby, he's trying to. That afternoon, a package arrived. Expensive wrapping paper. A bow that probably cost more than Ava's dress. Inside was a children's book, a first edition of Sophie's favorite story. A note in Elizabeth's handwriting. For my granddaughter, I look forward to meeting her properly. E.H. Ava threw it in the trash, then pulled it out, then threw it in again. The book stayed in the trash. The threat did not. Monday morning brought rain and a phone call from Sophie's preschool. She'd bitten another kid. Sophie doesn't bite, Ava said, already grabbing her keys. She does now, Mrs. Patterson replied, her voice tight. Can you come pick her up? We have a zero-tolerance policy. The drive took 15 minutes that felt like 15 hours. Ava found Sophie sitting in the director's office, arms crossed, glaring at the wall. What happened? Tommy said I don't have a daddy. I told him I do. He said, I'm a liar. So I bit him. Mrs. Patterson cleared her throat. We understand Sophie's going through a transition period, but violence isn't acceptable. She's suspended for 3 days. 3 days. 3 days Ava couldn't work. 3 days closer to missing rent again. I understand, Ava said, because what else could she say? In the car, Sophie was quiet for exactly 2 minutes before the tears started. I'm sorry, Mama. I didn't mean to be bad. I know, baby. But I do have a daddy now. Tommy's wrong. Tommy doesn't know about Ethan yet. That's okay. Can Daddy come over today? I want to see him. It's Monday. We see him on Saturdays. But I'm sad. And you said Daddy helps when we're sad. Ava pulled into their apartment complex, turned off the car. I never said that. You didn't have to. I can tell. Sophie unbuckled herself. Please, Mama? Against her better judgment, Ava texted Ethan. Sophie got suspended from preschool. She's asking for you. Can you call her? The response was immediate. I can do better than call. Give me an hour. 53 minutes later, Ethan knocked on their door. He'd brought movies, popcorn, and a stuffed Olaf that was nearly as big as Sophie. Heard you had a rough morning, he said, crouching to Sophie's level. I bit Tommy. So I heard. Want to tell me why? He said I don't have a daddy. Ethan's jaw tightened. What did you tell him? That I do, but he didn't believe me, so I bit him. Sophie's lip trembled. Am I bad? No, you're not bad. But biting people isn't how we solve problems, even when they make us angry. What should I do instead? Use your words, tell a teacher, or walk away. Walking away isn't giving up. Sometimes it's the strongest thing you can do. Ava stood in the kitchen doorway, watching this man she used to know teach their daughter things she should have taught her already. Watching him be gentle when she expected harsh, patient when she expected frustrated. Can we watch Frozen 2? Sophie asked. Absolutely. But first you need to apologize to your mama for getting suspended. She has to miss work to stay home with you. That's hard for her. Sophie turned to Ava, eyes wide. I'm sorry, Mama. I didn't think about that. It's okay, baby. We'll figure it out. Ethan pulled out his phone. Actually, I have an idea. If it's okay with your mom. He looked at Ava. I can stay with her. Work from here. You can go to your shift. Ethan, you can't just... Why not? I can do conference calls from anywhere. And Sophie and I can hang out, watch movies, order lunch, maybe do some coloring. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking, I'm offering. His eyes were steady. Let me help, Ava, please. She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should not let this man deeper into their life. Okay, she heard herself say. But if anything happens, I'll call you immediately. I promise. Ava went to work feeling like she'd left a piece of herself at home. Spent her shift checking her phone every 5 minutes. Ethan sent updates, photos of Sophie coloring, Sophie making a pillow fort, Sophie with popcorn all over her face. She's perfect, just like her mom. The last text made Ava's hands shake. She deleted it, then recovered it, then stared at it until her boss asked if she was okay. When Ava got home at 6, she found Ethan and Sophie asleep on the couch, Frozen 2 playing on the TV. Sophie curled against Ethan's side, his arm around her protectively, even in sleep. Ava stood there for a long time, just watching. This should have been their life. This could have been their life. How long have you been standing there? Ethan's voice was soft, sleep rough. Not long. He carefully extracted himself from Sophie, who mumbled something about Olaf and kept sleeping. Followed Ava into the kitchen. She's incredible, he said. We colored for 2 hours. She told me about every kid in her class, explained the entire Frozen mythology, made me promise to watch Tangled next. You don't have to promise things like that. I want to. I want all of it. Every movie, every story, every moment. He paused. I know I don't have the right to want that, but I do anyway. Ava poured herself water she didn't drink. Your mother sent a package yesterday. A book for Sophie. Ethan's expression darkened. I told her to stay away. Apparently she doesn't take orders well. Wonder where you get that from. Ava, I threw it away. The book. But the message was clear. She wants access to Sophie. She's not getting it. You can't control her, Ethan. You never could. Watch me. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I just sent an email to my lawyers. If she contacts you again, if she comes anywhere near you or Sophie, I'll file a restraining order. She's your mother. She's a toxic manipulator who destroyed my marriage and tried to destroy you. I'm done protecting her. He put his phone away. I should have done this 3 years ago. I should have believed you over her. I didn't, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. But I'm choosing differently now. It's easy to choose differently when you know the truth. You think I don't know that? His voice cracked. You think I don't lie awake every night wondering what kind of man I am? What kind of father? I threw away my family because I was too weak to question my mother, too proud to admit I might be wrong. I have to live with that, Ava, every single day. Sophie stirred on the couch, mumbling in her sleep. They both went quiet. You should go, Ava said, before she wakes up and doesn't want you to leave. Would that be so bad? Yes, because eventually you will leave. And she'll have to learn that people leave. I'd rather it happen slowly than all at once. Ethan nodded. started to gather his things, stopped. Can I ask you something? And I need you to be honest. When am I not? Is there any chance you'll ever forgive me? Really forgive me? Or am I just going to be the father who shows up on Saturdays for the rest of Sophie's life? Ava looked at him, really looked at him, saw the exhaustion around his eyes, the way his shoulders curved inward like he was trying to protect himself from blows that had already landed. This wasn't the man who'd thrown her out. This was someone else, someone broken in different ways. I don't know, she said honestly. Ask me again in 6 months. I can do that. He shouldered his bag. Thank you for today, for trusting me with her. After he left, Ava carried Sophie to bed, tucked her in with the giant Olaf, and sat on the edge of the mattress for a long time. Mama? Sophie's voice was sleepy. Is Daddy coming back? Saturday, like always. What about tomorrow? He has work, baby. He said his work can happen anywhere. He said that's the magic of computers. Sophie yawned. I like when he's here. It feels right. Ava kissed her forehead. Sleep, baby. But Sophie was already gone, breathing deep and even. Ava went to her own room and found a text from Daniel. Heard Ethan was at your place today. Hope everything's okay. The walls really were too thin. Sophie got suspended. He helped out. Of course he did. She could hear the hurt in those 3 words. Daniel, I'm sorry. Don't be. I knew what I was signing up for. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck. Can we talk? In person? Not tonight. I need to not be near you for a while. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Ava set down her phone and cried into her pillow so Sophie wouldn't hear. The next morning brought another package, this one hand-delivered by a courier in a suit. Ms. Collins, this is for you. Inside was a legal document, a petition for grandparents' rights. Elizabeth Hayes versus Ava Collins, requesting formal visitation with Sophie Hayes. Sophie Hayes, Ava said aloud. Her name is Sophie Collins. She called Ethan before she'd even finished reading. She's suing me. Your mother is suing me for custody. What? Grandparents' rights. She wants court-ordered visitation. She's claiming I'm denying her access to her granddaughter. I'll call my lawyers right now. We'll fight this. With what money, Ethan? I can't afford a lawyer. I can barely afford rent. Then I'll pay for it. I'll pay for the best lawyer in Seattle. No, Ava, I don't want your money. I don't want you to save me. I just wanted you to know what your mother is doing. She's not my mother anymore. She's just someone I used to know. His voice was ice. Give me 2 hours. I'll handle this. He hung up. Ava stood in her kitchen holding papers that could take away her daughter and wondered when her life had become a legal battle. Sophie wandered out in her pajamas. Is something wrong, Mama? Nothing you need to worry about, baby. You're doing the thinking face again. Am I? Sophie climbed onto a kitchen chair, studied Ava with serious brown eyes. Is Grandma being mean again? How did 3-year-olds know everything? A little bit, but Daddy's going to fix it. Daddy fixes a lot of things. Yeah, he does. An hour later, Ethan called back. It's handled. What does that mean? It means I went to my mother's house. Told her if she doesn't withdraw the petition immediately, I'll go to the press with every illegal thing she's done in the last 30 years. Tax fraud, bribery, the fake evidence she manufactured to break us up, all of it. Ethan, you can't. I can, and I did. She withdrew the petition 10 minutes ago. It's done. What did that cost you? Silence. Then, she disowned me, said I'm no longer her son, that she's cutting me out of her life and her will. I'm sorry. Don't be. Losing her is the best thing that's happened to me in 3 years. Second best, actually. Sophie's the first. After they hung up, Ava sat with the withdrawn petition and tried to process what Ethan had just sacrificed. His mother, his inheritance, his whole family, essentially. For her, for Sophie, for them. Wednesday afternoon, Daniel knocked on her door. I thought you needed space, Ava said. I do, but I also needed to see you. He looked tired. Can I come in? Sophie was at a friend's house, a makeup play date after the suspension. They sat on Ava's couch with careful distance between them. I've been thinking, Daniel said. About us. About what I want, about what you need. Daniel, let me finish, please. He took a breath. I love you, Ava. I'm in love with you, but I can't be with someone who's still figuring out if they're in love with someone else. I'm not in love with Ethan. Aren't you? The question sat between them like a third person. I don't know what I feel for him. Anger, hurt, confusion. But he's Sophie's father. He's trying to make amends. I can't just ignore that. I'm not asking you to ignore it. I'm asking you to be honest about what you want. Do you want me? Or do you want the idea of me because I'm safe and easy and I won't break your heart? That's not fair. Life's not fair. You taught me that, remember? He stood up. I need you to figure out what you want, really want, not what you think you should want or what's safe or what makes sense on paper, what your heart wants. And if I can't figure that out, then I can't keep doing this. I can't keep being the guy you're with while you work through your feelings about your ex-husband. I deserve more than that, and so do you. He left. Ava sat alone in her apartment and tried to figure out what her heart wanted. The problem was, her heart was terrible at making decisions. Saturday came too fast and too slow. Sophie bounced with excitement all morning. We're going to the aquarium today, Daddy promised. Did he? He texted you about it. You said okay. Had she? Ava checked her phone, found a message from 3 days ago. Would Sophie like to go to the aquarium Saturday? I'll get tickets for all three of us, if you're comfortable. She'd responded, sounds good. Apparently her autopilot was making decisions now. Ethan picked them up at noon. He'd rented a car, something practical, not the sports car he used to drive, something with a car seat already installed. When did you get that? Ava asked, gesturing to the seat. Tuesday. Figured it was time I had one, in case of emergencies. You're planning for emergencies now? I'm planning for everything, for being the kind of father who can pick up his daughter from school if she's sick, who has a car seat and knows her allergies and can braid her hair. You can't braid hair. Not yet, but YouTube has tutorials. I'm working on it. The aquarium was packed. Ethan bought tickets, the expensive kind that included the touch pools and the behind-the-scenes tour. Sophie's eyes went huge at the giant octopus tank. He's so big. That's a Pacific giant octopus, Ethan read from the placard. They can grow up to 16 feet across. 16 feet, Sophie pressed her face to the glass. That's bigger than our whole living room. They spent 2 hours wandering through tanks of jellyfish and sharks and colorful fish that Sophie insisted on naming. Every single one. That one's Barbara, that one's Steve, that one's Princess Sparkle Bottom. Princess Sparkle Bottom? Ethan tried not to laugh. It's a very good name. At the touch pool, Sophie shrieked when a ray brushed past her fingers. Ethan showed her how to hold her hand flat, let the creatures come to her. See? They're just curious, like you. Are you calling me a ray? I'm calling you brave. Ava watched from a few feet away, phone in hand, pretending to check messages. Really just watching Ethan with their daughter, watching him be patient, gentle, present. You're staring, he said without looking up. I'm supervising. Sure you are. He helped Sophie dry her hands. Hungry? There's a cafe upstairs. Over mediocre pizza and overpriced juice boxes, Sophie chattered about every creature they'd seen. Ethan listened like she was describing the secrets of the universe. Can we come back next month? Sophie asked. Absolutely, if your mama says it's okay. Both of them looked at Ava. She felt trapped by those matching brown eyes. We'll see. That means yes, Sophie cheered. After lunch, they walked through the gift shop, Sophie gravitating immediately to the stuffed animals. Can I get one, Mama? Please? Ava looked at the price tags and winced. Not today, baby. How about this? Ethan said. You pick one out, and I'll get it for you. Early birthday present. Her birthday's not for 4 months. Then a very early present. He crouched beside Sophie. Which one do you like? Sophie picked a stuffed sea otter that cost $40. Ava started to protest, but Ethan was already at the register, pulling out his wallet. You can't keep buying her things, Ava said in the car on the way home. Why not? Because I can't compete with that. I can't buy her $40 stuffed animals or take her to aquariums or any of it. I'm not trying to compete with you. Aren't you? Show up with presents and adventures, and make me look like the parent who says no to everything? Ethan pulled over, put the car in park, turned to face her. Is that what you think I'm doing? I don't know what you're doing. I'm trying to make up for 3 years of missed birthdays and Christmases and random Tuesdays. I'm trying to give my daughter experiences because I can't give her back the time I lost. But if it makes you uncomfortable, I'll stop. Just tell me what you want. I want you to understand that money doesn't fix everything. That Sophie doesn't need expensive toys. She needs consistency. She needs someone who shows up even when it's hard. I know that. Do you? Because 3 years ago when things got hard, you didn't show up. You threw us away. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving I'm different now. That's the problem, Ethan. You keep saying that, but words are easy. Showing up for 3 months is easy. What happens when it gets hard again? When Sophie disappoints you, or I disappoint you, or your next girlfriend decides she doesn't want to deal with your ex-wife and kid. He looked like she'd slapped him. There's no next girlfriend. There's barely a current life. You and Sophie, you're it. That's all I want. You can't want that. Why not? Because we're not yours to want anymore. You gave that up when you signed the divorce papers. Sophie's voice from the back seat, small and scared. Are you fighting? They both froze. Ava turned around. No, baby, we're just talking. Grown-ups talk loud sometimes. It sounds like fighting. Ethan restarted the car. Your mama's right. We're just talking, and we're done now. Let's get you home. The rest of the drive was silent except for Sophie singing to her new sea otter. When they pulled up to Ava's apartment, Ethan helped Sophie out but didn't follow them to the door. I'm sorry, he said, for whatever I did to upset you. You didn't? Ava stopped, started over. I'm the one who's sorry. I shouldn't have yelled in front of Sophie. You weren't yelling. You were being honest. I need that more than I need you to be nice. Sophie hugged Ethan goodbye, made him promise to come back next Saturday, and ran inside to show her babysitter the sea otter. Alone on the sidewalk, Ava and Ethan stood in uncomfortable silence. Can I ask you something? He said finally. You keep asking that. I keep needing to know things. He shoved his hands in his pockets. Are you happy? Really happy? With your life now? Most days. And Daniel? Does he make you happy? Why do you care? Because if he makes you happy, really happy, then I'll back off. I'll still show up for Sophie, but I'll stop. He gestured vaguely. Whatever this is. I'll stop hoping. Hoping for what? For a second chance. For forgiveness. For you to look at me one day and not see the man who destroyed you. Ava's throat tightened. I don't know if that's possible. I know, but I have to try anyway. He started back to his car. Stopped. For what it's worth, I think about that night every day. The night I confronted you. I think about the look on your face when I called you a liar. The way your hand went to your stomach, like you were trying to protect Sophie from me. I think about how easily I believed the worst of you, and I hate myself for it. Good, Ava said. You should. He nodded, got in his car, drove away. Ava went inside and found Daniel sitting on her couch. The babysitter looked apologetic. He said you'd texted him to come over. I didn't know. It's fine. Thank you for watching Sophie. After the sitter left, Ava turned to Daniel. I didn't text you. I know. I used my key. I'm sorry. But we need to talk. And I was afraid if I waited, I'd lose my nerve. Daniel, I love you. But I can't keep waiting for you to figure out if you love me back. So I'm making this easy for you. I'm out. The words hit like a punch. What? I'm done, Ava. I'm done being the safe choice while you figure out your feelings about Ethan. I'm done competing with a ghost. I'm done pretending it doesn't kill me every time you look at him like he hung the moon and destroyed it at the same time. I don't look at him like that. You do, and maybe that's not your fault. Maybe you can't help it. But I can't watch it anymore. Tears streamed down Ava's face. I care about you so much. I know. But caring isn't loving, and I need to be with someone who loves me, not someone who sees me as the consolation prize. He stood, handed her his key to her apartment, kissed her forehead one last time. I hope you figure out what you want. I really do. And I hope whoever you choose, Ethan or someone else, knows how lucky they are. Then he was gone. Ava stood in her living room holding his key and wondered how she'd managed to lose 2 men in one day. Sophie appeared in the hallway. Why are you crying, Mama? Just grown-up stuff, baby. Is Daniel gone? Yeah. Is he coming back? I don't think so. Sophie climbed into Ava's lap, wrapped her small arms around her neck. It's okay, Mama. We still have each other. And we have Daddy now. That's enough, right? Ava held her daughter and cried into her hair. Yeah, baby. That's enough. But it didn't feel like enough. It felt like everything was falling apart and she had no idea how to stop it. The week after Daniel left felt like walking through fog. Ava went through the motions: work, Sophie, sleep, repeat. But nothing felt real. She'd catch herself reaching for her phone to text him, then remember. He was gone. She'd driven him away by not being able to give him what he deserved. Thursday night, Sophie asked the question Ava had been dreading. Is Daniel ever coming back? No, baby. I don't think so. Why not? Did I do something wrong? Ava pulled Sophie into her lap. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes grown-ups just can't be together, even when they care about each other. Like you and Daddy? The comparison stung. Yeah, like that. Sophie was quiet for a moment, then said, But you and Daddy are together now. You see him every Saturday. That's different. We see him because he's your father, not because we're together. But you could be together, if you wanted. Out of the mouths of babes. Always the truth, never the comfort. It's complicated, Sophie. Grown-ups always say that when they don't want to explain things. She wasn't wrong. Friday morning, Ava's boss called her into the back office. Mrs. Chen stood there with a tight expression. Ava, we need to talk about your hours. Here it comes, the other shoe dropping. I'm cutting back everyone's shifts. The store's not doing well. I can only give you 15 hours a week going forward. 15 hours. That was barely enough for groceries, let alone rent. I understand, Ava said, because what else could she say? I'm sorry, I really am. You're a good employee, but the numbers don't lie. Ava walked out of that office and straight to the bathroom, where she locked herself in a stall and cried as quietly as possible. 15 hours meant she'd need a second job. A second job meant less time with Sophie. Less time with Sophie meant more babysitter costs. More babysitter costs meant she was right back where she started, barely surviving. She pulled out her phone, stared at Ethan's contact. He'd offered money a dozen times. She'd refused every time. Pride didn't pay rent, but accepting his money meant accepting his help. Accepting his help meant letting him further into their lives. Letting him further in meant risking everything when he inevitably left. She put her phone away, went back to work, started looking at job listings during her lunch break. That night, after Sophie was asleep, someone knocked on her door. She opened it to find Ethan standing there with takeout bags. I know it's not Saturday, he said, but I was in the neighborhood and thought. He stopped. You've been crying. I'm fine. You're a terrible liar. Can I come in? She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should not let this man see her falling apart. Yeah, okay. He set the food on her kitchen counter, Thai food from the place she loved but couldn't afford anymore. Then he just stood there, waiting. I lost most of my hours at work, she said finally. Down to 15 a week. I can't pay rent on 15 hours. Let me help. No. Ava? I said no. I'm not taking your money. It's not my money. It's child support. It's what I should have been paying all along. I don't want it. Too bad. I'm setting up an account anyway. You don't have to touch it if you don't want to, but it'll be there. For Sophie's needs, for emergencies, for whatever comes up. Why are you doing this? Because she's my daughter. Because I should have been doing this from the beginning. Because I failed you both once and I'm not going to fail you again. Ava sank into a kitchen chair. I'm so tired, Ethan. I'm tired of fighting to keep my head above water. I'm tired of feeling like I'm one emergency away from losing everything. I'm tired of being strong. He pulled out the chair across from her, sat down, pushed the food toward her. Then don't be strong tonight. Eat. We'll figure out the rest. They ate in silence. The food was good. Ava couldn't taste it. Daniel left, she said suddenly. Ethan's chopsticks paused halfway to his mouth. What? He told me he can't be with someone who's still in love with someone else. Are you? Still in love with someone else? The question hung between them like smoke. I don't know what I feel for you, Ava said. Some days I hate you. Some days I look at you with Sophie, And I see the man I married, the one I thought you were. And some days I just feel empty, like you took something from me that I can't get back. I know, I did that. I know I did. Do you? Do you really understand what it's like to love someone completely and have them destroy you? To rebuild yourself from nothing and then have them show back up asking for second chances? No, I don't. I can't know that because I've never been strong enough to survive what you survived. Ava looked up at him, really looked. You think I'm strong? You're the strongest person I know. You survived pregnancy alone, childbirth alone, raised a perfect kid in poverty while I was sitting in my tower counting money. Yeah, Ava, you're strong, stronger than I'll ever be. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm drowning. Then let me throw you a rope. Please, let me help. And when you leave, when this gets hard or boring or inconvenient, what then? I'm not leaving. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because leaving would mean losing Sophie, and I'd rather die than lose her again. What about me? What happens to me in this scenario where you're just here for Sophie? Ethan set down his chopsticks. What do you want me to say, Ava? That I'm still in love with you? I am. That I think about you constantly? I do. That I lie awake wondering if there's any universe where you could forgive me enough to give us another chance. Every single night. Her breath caught. But I know that's not fair, he continued. I know I don't deserve that. So I'm here for Sophie. And if being here for Sophie means I get to see you, talk to you, exist in the same space as you, then I'll take it. I'll take whatever you're willing to give me. That's not enough. You can't live your life waiting for scraps. Watch me. They stared at each other across her cheap kitchen table, the space between them full of things unsaid. I need time, Ava whispered. I need time to figure out what I want, what I feel. I can't do this. She gestured between them. While I'm drowning, while I'm just trying to survive. Okay, take all the time you need. I'll be here. You keep saying that. Because it's true. After Ethan left, Ava sat alone with the leftover Thai food and tried to understand what had just happened. He'd said he loved her, actually said it. Not hidden behind metaphors or implications, just straight truth. And she'd felt, what? Relief? Terror? Both? She didn't know. Didn't know anything anymore except that her life was a mess and she was too tired to clean it up. Saturday came with sunshine and Sophie's infectious excitement. This week, Ethan had planned a trip to a pumpkin patch an hour outside the city. Is it Halloween already? Ava asked, climbing into his car. Next month, but I thought we could get ahead of it. Pick out pumpkins, do the corn maze, let Sophie pet some goats. You've really thought this through. I've thought everything through. I have a calendar, color-coded, Sophie activities in purple, work stuff in blue, reminders to text you in green. You have reminders to text me? Every other day, so I don't overwhelm you but also don't disappear. There's a balance. I'm trying to find it. Despite everything, Ava smiled. You made a color-coded calendar for our lives. Our lives. I like the sound of that. The pumpkin patch was crowded with families. Kids running everywhere, couples taking selfies, the smell of kettle corn and cider donuts in the air. Sophie dragged them from activity to activity. The petting zoo, the hayride, the corn maze where they got genuinely lost for 20 minutes. Some father I am, Ethan muttered, consulting the map for the third time. Can't even navigate corn. The corn is tricky, Ava said. Very deceptive corn. Sophie thought the whole thing was hilarious. We're lost forever. We'll have to live in the corn. We're not living in the corn, Ethan said. We're just temporarily relocated within the corn. They found their way out eventually. Sophie picked the biggest pumpkin she could barely lift. Ethan insisted on buying it despite Ava's protests that they had nowhere to put something that size. We'll figure it out, he said, loading it into the trunk. That's what people do. They figure it out. On the drive back, Sophie fell asleep in her car seat, exhausted and happy. Ava watched the scenery pass and tried not to think about how natural this felt, how easy it was to slip back into the rhythm of being a family. Can I tell you something? Ethan said quietly, keeping his eyes on the road. Seems to be a theme with you. I've been seeing a therapist since I found out the truth about what my mother did. Twice a week. Ava turned to look at him. Yeah? Yeah, trying to figure out why I was so quick to believe her, why I didn't fight for you, why I built my whole personality around being strong and successful but fell apart the second someone challenged me. What did you figure out? That I'm a coward, that I've always been a coward. I built an empire to prove I wasn't my father. He died broke, failed at every business he tried, but I became exactly like him in the ways that mattered. He pushed everyone away too, my mom, his friends, everyone. Died alone in a crappy apartment with nothing but his pride. You're not your father. How do you know? Because you're here. Because you're trying. Because your father never would have gone to therapy or admitted he was wrong. You're doing the work. That's not cowardice. Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I don't deserve your kindness. Probably not, but you're getting it anyway. When they got back to Ava's apartment, Ethan helped carry the pumpkin up the stairs. Sophie woke up just long enough to demand they carve it right now, immediately. It's not Halloween yet, baby, Ava said. But Daddy's here now. We should do it together. Ethan looked at Ava. I can stay, if you want. Help with the carving. She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should not let him integrate further into their daily life. Okay, but you're cleaning up the mess. They spread newspapers on the kitchen floor. Ethan cut the top off while Sophie drew a face on the pumpkin with marker. Ava scooped out the guts, trying not to gag at the texture. This is disgusting, she said. That's the best part, Sophie informed her. The disgusting guts. It took an hour to carve a lopsided jack-o'-lantern with triangle eyes and a crooked smile. Sophie declared it perfect. They put a candle inside and turned off the lights to admire it. Best pumpkin ever, Sophie said, nestled between them on the couch. Best pumpkin ever, Ethan agreed. Ava looked at them, her daughter and her ex-husband, lit by flickering pumpkin light, and felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been sealed tight for 3 years. After Sophie went to bed, Ethan started cleaning up the pumpkin mess. Ava helped, and they worked in comfortable silence. Thank you for today, she said. Sophie had a great time. So did I. He tied off the trash bag. Can I ask you something? Always with the questions. Do you think there's any chance at all, that you could forgive me someday? Not now, not anytime soon, but eventually? Ava leaned against the counter, looked at this man who'd destroyed her and was now desperately trying to rebuild what he'd broken. I don't know. Ask me again in 6 months. You said that last time. I know. I'm consistent. He smiled, sad but hopeful. I can work with consistent. After he left, Ava found a check on her counter. $10,000. A note attached. For rent, for groceries, for whatever you need. Not a gift. Not charity. Just what I should have been giving you all along. She stared at it for a long time. Part of her wanted to tear it up, send it back, refuse his help on principle. But Sophie needed new shoes, the car needed repairs. The electricity bill was overdue. Pride didn't pay bills. She deposited the check the next morning, paid rent for 3 months, bought Sophie the shoes, got the car fixed, put the rest in savings for the inevitable next emergency. Then she called Ethan. I deposited the check. Good. But this doesn't change anything. Between us. I know. I'm accepting this for Sophie, not for you. I know that too. Okay, as long as we're clear. Crystal clear. A pause. Thank you for letting me help. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I promise. October became November. The Saturdays continued. Ethan showed up every week without fail. Sometimes they went places, the zoo, the science center, the park. Sometimes they stayed in and watched movies or played games or just existed together. Daniel moved out of 4B. Ava came home one day to find his apartment empty. A note slipped under her door. I took a job in Portland. Fresh start. I hope you find what you're looking for. You deserve happiness, Ava. Real happiness. D. She cried, reading it. Not because she loved Daniel, she knew now that she'd never quite gotten there, but because she'd hurt a good man by not being brave enough to choose. 3 weeks before Sophie's 4th birthday, Ava's boss called her into the office again. I'm closing the store, Mrs. Chen said. End of the month. I'm sorry, Ava, I really am. No job, no income. Back to square one. Ava called Ethan from the parking lot, crying so hard she could barely speak. I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. Stay where you are. He showed up in 18, found her sitting in her car, mascara running, hands shaking. Come work for me, he said. What? I need someone to manage the charitable foundation I'm starting. Someone who understands what it's like to need help. Someone who knows which organizations actually help people and which ones just shuffle money around. You'd be perfect. Ethan, I can't. $60,000 a year, health insurance, flexible hours so you can pick up Sophie from school, work from home when you need to. It's a real job, Ava, not charity. Why are you doing this? Because you need a job and I need someone I trust. Because I'm tired of watching you struggle when I have resources sitting in accounts doing nothing. Because I want to help. And this is how I can help. She should say no, should find her own job, should not become financially dependent on a man who'd already proven he could cut her off without warning. I need to think about it. Take all the time you need. The offer stands. That night, she sat Sophie down for a serious conversation. How would you feel if Mama started working for Daddy? Sophie's eyes went wide. You'd work together? Sort of. I'd work for his company, helping people who need help. Like us? Like we used to be, yeah. Sophie thought about this. Would Daddy be your boss? Technically, yes. Would he be mean? No, I don't think so. Then you should do it. Then you'd see him more. I want to see him more. Out of the mouths of babes. Ava called Ethan the next morning. I'll take the job, but I have conditions. Name them. I want everything in writing. Salary, benefits, job description. I want it professional. And if we fight, if things fall apart, I want a severance package that gives me 6 months to find something else. Done. Anything else? Yeah. No special treatment because we used to be married. I do the work, I get paid. I don't do the work, you fire me. Fair? More than fair. When can you start? After the holidays. I want to spend time with Sophie before everything changes again. That works. I'll have my lawyers draw up the contract. Sophie's birthday came on a Tuesday. Ava threw a party at their apartment, small, just a few kids from preschool, homemade cake, decorations from the dollar store. Ethan showed up with a present so big he could barely fit it through the door. What is that? Ava demanded. A kitchen playset. The good kind, with a working sink and fake food and everything. Ethan, that's too much. It's her birthday. Let me spoil her. Sophie lost her mind over the kitchen. Spent the entire party cooking fake meals and serving them to everyone. Made Ethan pretend to eat plastic pizza at least 15 times. Best pizza I've ever had, he said seriously. You should open a restaurant. I'm only 4, Daddy. I have to wait till I'm 5. After the other kids left, after Sophie crashed hard from sugar, Ava and Ethan cleaned up the wrapping paper and deflated balloons. Thank you for letting me be here, he said. She's your daughter. Of course you should be here. I meant thank you for not shutting me out, for giving me chances I don't deserve, for letting me be part of this. Ava tied off a trash bag. You're welcome, I think. He laughed. I'll take I think. They worked in silence for a while. Then Ethan said, Can I tell you something? You're doing it anyway. Fair point. He gathered up paper plates. My therapist asked me what I want. Like, really want. Not what I think I should want or what makes sense. What my heart wants. What did you say? I said I want my family back. I want to wake up in the morning and have Sophie jump on the bed. I want to make breakfast while you complain that I'm making too much noise. I want to fight about stupid things like whether the toilet paper goes over or under. I want normal. I want boring. I want us. Ava's hand stilled on the trash bag. Ethan, I know I can't have that. I know I destroyed it, but you asked what my heart wants, and that's the answer. You, Sophie, us, everything I threw away because I was too stupid and too weak to fight for it. What did your therapist say? She said wanting something doesn't mean you deserve it, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is accept that you broke something irreparably and focus on building something new instead. Smart therapist. She has her moments, he finished gathering plates. So that's what I'm trying to do, build something new. Be Sophie's father, be your whatever you'll let me be. Friend, maybe, co-parent, whatever works. Ava looked at him standing in her tiny kitchen, holding trash and looking vulnerable in a way the old Ethan never had. "Can I tell you something?" she said. "Always. I'm scared. I'm scared of trusting you again. I'm scared of letting you in and having you leave. I'm scared that I'm making the same mistake I made when I was 19, falling for a man who's going to hurt me. I won't hurt you again. You can't promise that. Nobody can. You're right, but I can promise I'll try, every day, to be better, to be worthy of you and Sophie, to earn back what I lost." They stood in the kitchen, surrounded by birthday debris, and Ava felt the last of her walls start to crumble. "I'm not ready," she whispered. "I'm not ready," came with Snow and Sophie's insistence that they needed a tree as big as Daddy. "Daddy's very tall," Ava pointed out. "That tree won't fit in our apartment." They compromised on a 6-footer. Ethan brought it over on Christmas Eve, along with enough decorations to outfit a department store. "I may have gone overboard," he admitted, looking at the boxes. "You think?" They decorated while watching Christmas movies. Sophie insisted every ornament had a story, so they made up elaborate backstories for each one. "This one is Princess Snowflake," Sophie announced, holding up a generic silver ball. "She rules the Ice Kingdom and has a penguin army." "Fearsome," Ethan said seriously. "I wouldn't mess with her." After Sophie went to bed, Ava and Ethan sat on the couch drinking hot chocolate and admiring the tree. "This is nice," Ethan said. "Just this. Being here. Being part of it." "Yeah, it is." "Can I ask you something?" Ava groaned. "Do you ever stop asking questions?" "Not until I get the answers I need." He set down his mug. 6 months ago, you told me to ask you again in 6 months if you could forgive me. It's been 6 months." Her heart started pounding. "Ethan, I'm not asking for us to get back together. I'm not asking for anything except honesty. Can you forgive me? Or am I going to spend the rest of my life as the father who shows up on Saturdays and holidays but never gets to be part of the family?" Ava looked at the Christmas tree, the lights blurring through sudden tears. "I don't know if I can forgive you. Not completely, not the way you want me to." She watched his face fall and kept going. "But I think I can forgive enough. Enough to stop hurting every time I look at you. Enough to remember the good parts without the bad parts drowning them out. Enough to maybe, possibly, someday, try again. If you're willing to be patient, if you're willing to go slow, if you're willing to earn it every single day." Ethan's breath caught. "Are you saying I'm saying maybe. I'm saying not now, but possibly later. I'm saying I'm tired of being angry and I'm ready to try something else. What does that look like?" "I don't know. We figure it out as we go. We take it slow. We put Sophie first. And if it doesn't work, if you hurt me again or I can't get past what happened, we walk away as friends. For her sake. I can do slow. I can do patient. I can do whatever you need. Can you do honest? Can you tell me when you're struggling instead of making decisions without me? Can you trust me enough to be vulnerable? I'm in therapy twice a week learning how to do exactly that. So yeah, I can try." Ava wiped her eyes. "Okay, then we try." "We try," Ethan repeated, like he was testing the words. Then quieter. "Can I kiss you? Just once. Just to seal the deal." "That's not going slow." "You're right. I'm sorry, Ava leaned forward and kissed him. Quick, gentle. Nothing like the passionate kisses they used to share. Just a promise. A maybe. A beginning. When she pulled back, Ethan looked stunned. "Slow," she reminded him. "We're going slow." "Right, slow. I can do slow." He went home 20 minutes later, grinning like an idiot. Ava sat on her couch and touched her lips and wondered if she'd just made the best decision or the worst one. Time would tell. The new year brought Ava's first day at Hayes Foundation. Ethan had found her an office with windows, a real desk, a salary that made her cry when she saw it in writing. "This is too much," she said. "It's market rate. I checked. You're managing a $10 million foundation. This is what that position pays." $10 million? To start? I'm adding more each quarter. By year end, we'll be at 50 million, all going to organizations that help single parents, domestic violence survivors, people rebuilding after trauma. Your job is to make sure it actually helps people. Ava sat down in her fancy office chair. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Because I should have been doing it all along. Because money sitting in accounts doesn't help anyone, but money in the right hands can change lives. And because I trust you to put it in the right hands. She started working 3 days a week. The other 2 days she worked from home, picked Sophie up from school, tried to figure out this new life she was building. Ethan was true to his word about slow. He called before coming over, asked permission before making plans, took her on actual dates, dinner, movies, walks in the park, like they were strangers learning each other instead of two people with 3 years of history. This is weird, Ava said after their 4th date. We used to be married. Now you're taking me to mini golf like we're teenagers. Is it bad weird or good weird? I don't know yet, but it was mostly good weird. Learning who Ethan was now, humbler, more thoughtful, quicker to apologize, felt like discovering a new person. One she could maybe love, differently than before. Better, possibly. 3 months into their slow reconciliation, Sophie asked the question Ava had been dreading. Are you and Daddy getting married again? What makes you ask that? Maya's parents got divorced and then married again. She said it happens sometimes. Ava knelt beside Sophie's bed. Daddy and I are trying to be friends again, that's all. But you kiss him. Friends don't kiss. How do you know we kiss? I saw you last Tuesday when he brought pizza. Ava made a mental note to be more careful. Grown-up kissing is complicated. Everything grown-up is complicated. Sophie sighed dramatically. I just want us to be a family, a real family, with Daddy living here and eating breakfast with us and reading me stories at night. Maybe someday, baby, but not yet. How long is not yet? I don't know. As long as it takes to make sure we do it right this time. Sophie seemed satisfied with that. Ava was less sure. That night, after Sophie was asleep, she texted Ethan. Sophie asked if we're getting married again. His response? What did you say? That we're taking things slow. Good answer. For the record, I'd marry you tomorrow if you'd have me. But I understand slow. I'm fine with slow. Ava stared at the message for a long time before responding. Ask me again in a year. I can do a year. Spring came with cherry blossoms and Sophie's first ballet recital. Ethan sat in the front row with Ava, recording every second on his phone, even though Sophie was barely visible in the crowd of tiny dancers. She's the best one, he whispered. You can't even see her. Don't need to. I know she's the best. After the recital, they took Sophie for ice cream. She got chocolate all over her costume and declared it the best day ever. Better than your birthday? Ethan asked. Different better. Birthday better and dance better are different kinds of better. They walked home through the park, Sophie between them, holding both their hands. This is what I imagined, Ethan said quietly. 4 years ago, when you told me you were pregnant, this exact thing, walking through a park with our daughter between us. Yeah? Yeah, it took me a while to get here, but I made it. Ava squeezed his hand. You did. That night, after Sophie was asleep, Ethan didn't leave right away. They sat on the couch, and he put his arm around her, and she let herself lean into him. I love you, he said. Not a question, not a request, just a statement. I know. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. But Ava realized, sitting there in her tiny apartment with this man who'd destroyed her and rebuilt himself, that maybe she did love him. Not the same desperate, all-consuming love of 19, something steadier, stronger, built on truth instead of fantasy. I think I love you too, she said. The new you. The one who shows up, the one who does the work. The new me is just the old me without the pride and the fear. Then I love the old you minus the pride and fear. He kissed her. Real this time, deep and slow and full of promises they might actually keep. When he finally left, because they were still going slow, still maintaining boundaries, Ava touched her lips and smiled. Maybe broken things could be fixed after all, not perfectly, not smoothly, but fixed enough. Summer brought Sophie's 4th birthday and a surprise party Ethan had been planning for months. He'd rented a community center, hired a bouncy castle company, invited every kid in Sophie's class. "This is too much," Ava said, watching him set up decorations at 6 in the morning. "It's not enough. I missed her first 3 birthdays. I'm making up for lost time." The party was chaos. 34-year-olds hopped up on sugar, screaming in enclosed spaces, destroying everything they touched. It was perfect. Sophie stood on a chair to blow out her candles, Ethan holding her steady, Ava taking pictures. They sang happy birthday, and Sophie wished for our family to be together forever and ever. "That's a good wish," Ethan said, voice tight. After the party, after the cleanup, after Sophie crashed from exhaustion, Ethan and Ava sat in her apartment with leftover cake. "I've been thinking," Ethan said. "Dangerous. About the future. About us. About what comes next. And I want to ask you something, but I need you to know there's no pressure. If you say no, nothing changes. We keep going like we are, okay?" Ava's heart started pounding. "Okay." Ethan pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. Inside was a ring, not the massive diamond he'd given her when she was 21. Something simpler, more beautiful. "I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet, but I'm asking if someday you might want to. If I keep showing up, if I keep doing the work, if I prove I'm different, would you consider it?" Ava looked at the ring, at Ethan, at the life they'd built from ruins. "Ask me again in a year," she said. "Same answer as last time. Same question as last time, but yeah. In a year, if we're still doing this, if we're still good, ask me again, and I'll probably say yes." Ethan closed the box, put it back in his pocket. "I can wait a year. You're getting good at waiting. I've had practice." That fall, Ava and Sophie moved out of their tiny apartment. Not into Ethan's penthouse. That was too much, too fast. Into a townhouse Ethan bought and put in both their names. "Co-ownership," he explained. "You own half. I own half. If things fall apart, you keep your half. Fair? More than fair." The townhouse had 3 bedrooms, one for Sophie, one for Ava, one for a home office. A yard where Sophie could play. A kitchen big enough for all of them. Ethan didn't move in, but he stayed over sometimes. Cooked breakfast, read Sophie bedtime stories, slowly became part of their daily life instead of a weekend visitor. Winter came again. Sophie's preschool had a holiday pageant. She played a reindeer and forgot half her lines, but beamed the whole time. "That's my girl," Ethan whispered, squeezing Ava's hand. "Our girl," Ava corrected. "Our girl." On Christmas Eve, after Sophie was asleep, Ethan and Ava sat by their tree, bigger this year, fuller, strung with lights and memories. "It's been a year," Ethan said. "Since what?" "Since you told me to ask you again in a year. About marriage." Ava's breath caught. "So it has." "So I'm asking." He got down on one knee, pulled out the ring box. "Ava Collins, will you marry me?" Again. But different this time, better this time, with honesty and trust and everything we should have had the first time. Ava looked at him, really looked. Saw the man who'd destroyed her, the man who'd rebuilt himself, the father who showed up every single day, the partner who did the work. "Yes," she said, "but we're doing it right this time. Small wedding, just us and Sophie. No fancy venue, no showing off, just truth. I can do that. And therapy, couples therapy. So when we fight, because we will fight, we have tools to work through it. Already made an appointment for next week. And if your mother tries anything, she's not in our lives. She made her choice. I made mine." Ava took the ring, let him slide it onto her finger. "Okay then, let's do this." They got married on a Saturday in March at the courthouse downtown. Sophie wore a white dress and carried flowers. Daniel sent a card from Portland saying he was happy for them. Ava's co-workers threw rice that got stuck in everyone's hair. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. That night in their townhouse, with Sophie asleep down the hall and Ethan beside her, Ava finally felt like she'd come home. "No regrets?" Ethan asked. "Ask me again in 50 years. "I can wait 50 years. "You're good at waiting." He kissed her. Had a good teacher. They built their life slowly, carefully, with honesty and weekly therapy sessions and fights that ended in apologies instead of slammed doors. Ethan sold his penthouse, downsized his company, focused on the foundation and his family. Ava built programs that helped thousands of people rebuild their lives the way she'd rebuilt hers. Sophie grew up knowing both her parents loved her, knowing they'd fallen apart and found their way back, knowing that people make mistakes, but sometimes, if they work hard enough, they can fix them. On Sophie's 5th birthday, they gathered around another cake in their kitchen. The three of them plus Ava's coworkers who'd become family. "Make a wish," Ava said. Sophie closed her eyes tight, blew out the candles, opened her eyes grinning. "What did you wish for?" Ethan asked. "Can't tell, or it won't come true." Later, when everyone had gone home and Sophie was in bed, she called Ava in. "I can tell you my wish now. It already came true." "What was it?" "I wished for us to be a family, a real family. And we are." Sophie smiled sleepily. "We're real now, right, Mama?" Ava kissed her forehead. "Yeah, baby, we're real." She turned off the light and found Ethan in the hallway, leaning against the wall with tears in his eyes. "You okay?" she asked. "Better than okay. I'm home." And he was. They all were. Not in the fairy tale way where everything was perfect, but in the real way where things were messy and hard and beautiful and worth fighting for. Being a father wasn't about power or money or grand gestures. It was about showing up every single day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. And Ethan Hayes had finally figured that out.